Hello, everyone. I welcome you all to Manage Engine's free training on OpUtils. We'll start off by talking about what OpUtils is and some of its key highlights. After that, we'll discuss how OpUtils can help you navigate modern IT challenges. In this section, we'll take a close look at the different aspects of OpUtils and what you can get from it. Then we'll explain why OpUtils is a good choice for your network. So without waiting any longer, let's begin with Chapter 1. What is OpUtils? OpUtils is a comprehensive IP address manager and switchboard mapping solution. It comes built in with numerous capabilities that will aid network administrators in grasping the network address space within modern IT infrastructures. What comes to your mind when I mention an IP address manager tool? Spreadsheets, right? While spreadsheets have proven effective in the past for managing IP addresses, they no longer meet the demands of modern IT infrastructures and their distributed networks. The need to manage and explore address spaces across subnets, supernets, remote sites, and data centers has surpassed the capabilities of spreadsheets. OpUtils provides the means to manage IPv4 and IPv6 addresses effortlessly while also automating end-to-end scanning with real-time data insights. This extensive IP address manager tool simplifies the task of IP address management by aiding in tracking critical metrics such as availability and utilization presented through a centralized dashboard. Additionally, we offer 30-plus comprehensive network toolsets that allow for streamlined day-to-day network tasks with just a simple click. OpUtils further offers granular reports and immediate proactive alerts related to IPAM and switchboards. A notable feature of OpUtils is its easy deployment process. To get started with OpUtils, all you need is a few minutes to discover your resources within the OpUtils console, and it will begin running in a matter of minutes. Another notable aspect of OpUtils is its affordability, user-friendliness, and its ability to significantly reduce the burden of manual work for all network administrators. So how does OpUtils help IT? Let's take a look at some of OpUtils' capabilities that stand out from other IPAM tools. In this section, we'll begin by exploring the IP address manager and switchboard mapper. From there, we'll move on to discuss rogue device detection, network toolset, schedules, reports, and alarms. This comprehensive overview will provide insights into the diverse tools at your disposal for effective network administration with OpUtils. So let's get started with OpUtils IP address manager. Before I give you a demo of the various features offered in its IP address manager module, let's pause for a moment and consider why we need an IP address manager solution in the first place. Sure, it replaces spreadsheets, but is that the sole reason for requiring an IPAM solution? Well, the answer is somewhat intricate. When you evaluate the different solutions available in the market, whether it's a simple spreadsheet, a distributed spreadsheet, a CLI query tool like ping or traceroute, anything aiding in comprehending your network address space, there are numerous challenges in effectively monitoring your IP address space. There are a lot of gaps. This is where an IPAM solution like OpUtils steps in to assist you. It serves to eliminate human errors through automated IP data collection. Automated IP data collection is no longer just a luxury, it's an essential for every network administrator. When we refer to IP address data management, the typical process involves navigating the network, checking IP status ranges, returning to your tool or homegrown solution for IPAM, and ensuring the changes are noted down. This process, however, involves a significant amount of manual work and time. And for IT teams, time is not something that can be wasted. Ensuring basic processes such as keeping your IP database updated are automated is vital. This is a prominent feature of OpUtils. It eradicates human errors in IP data management. Not only that, by automating the IP data collection process across different network hierarchies, ecosystems, and remote sites, OpUtils provides a single source of truth. You can utilize the OpUtils IP inventory to track multiple IPv4 and IPv6 addresses across your entire network. Not just tracking, but also managing these IP addresses with ease. After all, what good is a tool that provides insights into your network status without granting control over it? This is exactly what OpUtils IPAM tool achieves. It offers holistic visibility as well as control over IP allocation, usage, and management. With the ability to logically manage IPs and allocate them for static allocation, you can even add custom columns to track specific data about a subnet or an IP. The next notable feature is DHCP scope monitoring. In reality, most networks rely on DHCP servers for IP address allocation and management. This brings flexibility in dynamically assigning IPs. However, managing these DHCP server scopes is equally vital. OpUtils enables you to integrate IP management with their corresponding DHCP server scopes, providing a complete view into how individual IPs behave and how they align with DHCP scope servers. But knowing how IPs are added to the network and how they relate to the DHCP server scopes isn't enough. It's also crucial to understand how many IPs are actually in use. This is where the in-depth MAC Insights capability of OpUtils comes into play. It offers a detailed view into associated MAC addresses and devices, shedding light on who is using specific IP addresses and how they are utilized. These questions help you gain a clear understanding of your network address space with ease. Now comes the most crucial part, staying ahead of network issues. You certainly don't want to be ensnared in IP conflicts. While IP issues might seem minor, just a couple of devices contending for the same IP, if left unresolved, can escalate into catastrophic network downtimes or even subnet outages. Especially in critical environments, this is a scenario to be avoided at all costs. OpUtils IP address management equips you to preempt such trivial IP issues and ensure they don't escalate into broader network problems. Now let's proceed to the live demo and explore how all of this works in OpUtils. So once you are in OpUtils, you will of course be greeted by the dashboard, which gives you an overview of how your environment is performing. And just in case some of you want to try out the OpUtils user interface while you are attending this free training, you can explore it along with me by going to demo.oputils.com in a new tab. Now, let's talk about the OpUtils console. Once you are in OpUtils, all you have to do is click on the dedicated tab that we have provided for IP address management. Click on the IP address manager module. And of course, the first things you see are the tree view and the donut view, and you have a summary view. The fact is, OpUtils is very intuitive. It's intuitive and user-friendly, that it's very easy for you to navigate through all of the IP addresses that are available. Now, before you monitor, the first thing you need to do is you need to add IP addresses into OpUtils. To discover and add IP addresses into OpUtils, we have an option called Add, which allows you to add IPv4 subnets, supernets, DHCP servers, and IPv6 subnets. And for those of you who are new to OpUtils, we also have a Getting Started icon here on the top that allows you to get started with OpUtils in 5 easy steps, starting from discovery. Now, going back to discovering IPv4 addresses. To simply discover IPv4 subnets, all you have to do is click on Add Subnet and provide the group name. You can choose groups based on your location, based on office details, floor details. You can pick your group name. And then you can provide the other details that are required, such as subnet or network address, subnet name, VLAN name, and you can check these options or additional functions that allow you to ensure IP availability using ICMP. You can also get device details using SNMP, and to perform DNS forward and reverse lookup as well, we have an option to enable you to choose that. And you can also get the device type and hardware details of Windows machines using WMI. Now, once you have discovered your IP addresses, it gets added to our IP inventory. And when it comes to navigating through the IP addresses in your IP address space, we have 2 major views, which is the tree view and the donut view. The tree view gives you hierarchical groupings of all the addresses and the groups in your environment. The donut view allows you to view your IP addresses based on its network attributes such as DNS, Active Directory, network interface card type, and so on. Now, going back to the summary, this allows you to get an overview of all the IP addresses in your environment. After discovering all of these IPs, you can simply click on your subnet details to view the different subnets in your environment, the size of the subnet address, the utilization of the subnet. Then you have the available IPs, the used IPs, the transient IP details, and when this information was last updated. If you want to update this information in real time or on demand, all you have to do is just click this icon, click this scan button, and it will automatically scan and update the information into real-time data for you. In addition to this, we also have a dedicated tab where you can explore the IP details within a particular subnet, or in this case, we are viewing the global IP details, which gives you a list of all the IP addresses available that you have discovered. This shows you the IP address details, the MAC address, the DNS resolution, the DNS status, and we have 3 status for the IPs, which is available, transient, and used. A transient state is when the IP address is in a cool-off period. You can choose to assign this transient IP address by selecting on it, and you can mark it as reserved static IP. Let's say you have some legacy devices in your environment for which you do not want to use DHCP to allocate IP addresses. You can use static IP and you can just mark it as reserved for static IPs. We can also filter IPs based on the used state, available state, and transient state. If you clicked on the used IP addresses, you can see that these IP addresses are resolved here. The IP DNS is also resolved, and you can view the status, and it shows used, and you can also view the MAC address details of where the IP address is currently being used. In addition to this, if you drill down to a particular IP address, it gives you an overview of where the IP address is allocated, and it also fetches information from the Active Directory to show you what is the domain. It gives you data such as the system name, the system description, and so on. Going back to the summary view, now let's talk about IP history. This gives you an overview of which IP address was associated with which device in the past. As you can see, it's showing the IP address, the DNS name, the MAC address data, or the device is removed in this case, and it also gives you the system description details. Then we also have the IP alerts tab. Since OpUtils is an IP address monitoring and management solution, when anything goes wrong with your IP address, it's automatically collected in the alerts tab, where you can view the IP address, the DNS name, when the alert was generated, and some remarks on what the issue is. Over here, we can see that the forward lookup returns a different IP, or the forward lookup has failed. Now, you might think of a scenario where, what if you're not the only person who's managing IPs in your organization? What if there are multiple people who are managing IP addresses? In that case, we have an option where you can raise an IP request. Let's say there is an operator that you've assigned, who we will talk about the user roles later. We have administrator user role and operator user role. But for this purpose, let's stick to IP requests. And within IP requests, let's say you've assigned a technician in your environment to create a lab, and this lab requires 10 IP addresses or 10 devices to be added. All the operator has to do is come into OpUtils and create a new IP request. By clicking on the IP request, the operator can provide the number of IPs that they require, 10 in this case. They can provide the purpose for which they require the IP address, which is they need to create a lab environment, the location where they're creating it, the department details, and so on. And they can also select the preferred subnet. The preferred subnet, of course, for different organizations, you might have your work group machines in a particular subnet, your test machines in a particular subnet. So the requester can also raise the preferred subnet details when they're raising the request. And once the request is raised, it is all collected in the IP request section, where the administrator can click on the request, go through the request details, and where they can choose whether they want to approve the request or decline it. Now, the essence of this functionality is the fact that it enables you to prevent any IP conflicts it allows you to easily manage and use the IP addresses in your spaces and allocate it to different functions without there arising any IP conflict whatsoever. It facilitates simplified and easy management. Now, in addition to this, OpUtils also offers DHCP scope monitoring. You can discover your DHCP servers, and it will let you know the scope details that you can view right here, the IP addresses, and you can also filter it based on the status of those IP addresses, whether it is a leased or if it's reserved. And you can also view the status of the IPs. Are they available, transient, or used? And you can also filter based on the scope address. So these are all the features that are available in IP Address Manager. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise the questions in our Q&A panel, and our panelists are ready to answer all of your questions. In addition to this, we also have a dedicated dashboard for IP Address Manager that if you click on, it will give you a complete snapshot of the IP address space in your organization. It provides you with the IP availability summary, the top 10 subnets by occupied IPs, the top 10 groups, the NIC type summary, and so on. All of this information will help you streamline your IP address management. Going back to the presentation, let's have a quick recap of what we covered in our demo. So we spoke about flexible IP discovery options that are available within OpUtils. Then we spoke about IP address tracking, where you have the option to start OpUtils in any way you prefer and track all of the IP addresses with various methods that you can use to add via IP subnets, via CSV files or DHCP server discovery, and so on. And in addition to that, it provides simple, easy IP scanning. It constantly tracks and updates the IP information in your organization. It also allows you to raise requests for IPs in your environment when there are multiple users that require that are raising IP requests and that are managing IP addresses in your environment. And in addition to that, it provides historical tracking where you can see which IP address was associated to which MAC address and much more. And it has a dedicated tab where you can view all the IP related alert notifications that are raised. And in addition to that, it also gives you a dashboard view where you can view the status of IP addresses holistically. With that, we're moving on to the next segment of our free training, which is Switchboard Mapping. When I mention Switchboard Mapper, it's no longer about spreadsheets this time, but rather the manual chore of tracing cables to switches and their corresponding ports. This task can lead to numerous inefficiencies within modern IT infrastructures. The primary issue lies in the manual tracking process, a hassle that can be easily avoided with the Switchboard Mapper module. OpUtils can scan switchboards and establish end-to-end mapping of switchboards, resolving more than just the basic connectivity questions. And end-to-end here encompasses far more than knowing which port connects to which device or whether a port is available. With OpUtils, you gain a comprehensive understanding of the complete connectivity journey from the switch to the port and finally to the connected device. This includes insights into different connectivity configurations such as the access port links, trunk port links, or connections to multiple MAC addresses. OpUtils goes beyond this by deeply integrating with the IP Address Manager module. Through the Switchboard Mapping module, you can also access networking attributes of the connected end devices. This encompasses critical details like MAC addresses, DNS information, and DHCP data. But that's not all. OpUtils offers the capability to visually represent switchboards. The port view option allows you to access all necessary details with a simple mouse over of the switchboard, presenting the information directly on your screen. And OpUtils goes further by tracking essential metrics crucial for understanding the utilization of network resources. This feature aids in comprehending how these resources are allocated to end devices across the network. Notably, it's instrumental in identifying switch issues through proactive monitoring. OpUtils keeps a close eye on your network switchboards, promptly notifying you through various channels in the event of any port-related problems that can arise within your OpUtils managed network. Now let's switch to the demo and explore how the Switchboard Mapper features work in OpUtils. As you can view the demo, all you have to do is click on the dedicated tab that we have again provided for Switchboard Mapper. So within the Switchboard Map module, you'll find a console view that's quite similar to what we encountered in the previous IPAM module or IP Address Manager module. It encompasses a tree view, a donut view, and you have a summary tab as well, all offering you quick and comprehensive insights into the managed network switchboards. Moving on, let's click on the Switches tab, which presents you with a list of all the managed switches. If you wish to delve deeper into a specific switch, you can achieve that by clicking on the desired switch within the tree view. In this case, let's click on OpUtils. So as you can see, it takes you to the port view. So in this port view, you can see the different ports that are available within the switch, the interface index, the port number, the availability, status, connected MAC, and all other information. And you might have noticed that there is a color coding over here, right? So some of these are coded in white, some of these are coded in yellow and gray, and so on. Now, what does this mean? This means that it basically color codes it based on the type of port that we're dealing with. Ports with multiple MAC addresses, as you can see right here, are color coded with yellow. Ports which are stacked are highlighted with gray. And let's say you want to view more information about these ports, you can click on more about the MAC addresses that are associated to these ports. You can click on more, and it'll show you the IP address details, the DNS name, the device type, VLAN ID, and VLAN name. Now, since this is a demo setup for security reasons, we've hidden these details, but you will be able to view all of this information in your setup. Now, let's say you want to drill down into a particular, let's say you want to visualize the ports that are connected to your switch. You can simply do that by clicking on Port View. This allows you to visualize the status of each port in your switch, and just by hovering on top of the port, you will be able to view the port number, the interface index, the interface name, status, MAC addresses, IP addresses, and so on. This knowledge is immensely beneficial to network administrators, as it provides essential visibility into the device mappings, enabling effective troubleshooting of issues like port flapping, looping, or problems arising from faulty cables. In a sense, this level of clarity and understanding about which devices are connected to which ports forms the foundation of addressing network challenges with precision and control. Now, clicking on port history will give you a detailed history of the switch port utilization over a specific span of time. And additionally, we also have a dedicated alerts tab that logs the operational alerts and alerts stemming from various issues that might have cropped up when OpUtils is monitoring your switch. So as you can see here, a new device was added to the port number. So this gives you complete and holistic visibility. And let's say you want to update all of this information to on time, you can click on scan, and that will update and show you the latest information available. And over here, if you want to add switches, which is again very important before you start monitoring, you have the option to add switches. You can import switches from CSV, and all you have to do is just choose the group name, provide the switch name, select the right SNMP credentials, and you can add it into the OpUtils console. Additionally, we also have a dedicated dashboard view for Switchboard Mapper, where you can holistically view the status of your switches, what are the top 10 switches with occupied port, top 10 groups, top 10 free ports, and the port availability summary. Going back to the presentation, let's have a quick recap of what we've seen so far in Switchboard Mapper. In our brief demonstration of the Switchboard Mapper, we've observed how you can initiate switchboard mapping, gain insights into connectivity, and view metrics like utilization percentages, available ports, and transient ports. We also saw how you can visualize ports, track historical usage patterns, alerts, and so on. Now let's move on to rogue device detection module of OpUtils. And this module is designed to enhance the security of your enterprise network against potential threats posed by malicious devices. It's a challenging task for most network administrators to manually track and monitor every device that enters the network. And enterprises that implement BYOD policies, that have IoT devices, and those dealing with shadow IT need real-time monitoring to prevent security breaches. And fortunately, OpUtils rogue device detection comes to the rescue by making device tracking effortless. The rogue detection module incorporates Active Directory integration, which automatically identifies all trusted devices within your AD environment. This feature serves to distinguish legitimate devices from the rogue ones. With OpUtils, you can gain precise control over your network by assigning authenticity tags to devices. In cases where a rogue device is identified, you can promptly block access to your enterprise network through the associated switch port, all at the click of a button. And this eliminates the need for manual cable tracing and removal. And furthermore, OpUtils empowers you with extensive insights. It provides over 30 network tools that allows you to investigate in-depth details regarding the rogue devices attempting to connect your network. It's important to note that some attackers use sophisticated methods such as MAC addresses, such as MAC address table or ARP spoofing to gain unauthorized access. And OpUtils has you covered in this aspect as well. The tool continuously scans ARP entries, enabling the identification and prevention of ARP spoofing attacks, ensuring the integrity of your network. Now let's see how this capability works in the OpUtils console. Within OpUtils, as you can see, we have a dedicated tab for rogue detection. And in the rogue detection module, you can view here, clicking on rogue device detection, in rogue detection module, you can view here that there is already a list of discovered devices. And this compilation is generated through real-time network scanning and Active Directory integration. OpUtils actively scans your network to compile this list, ensuring a comprehensive overview of devices. However, let's say you possess a set of trusted devices that aren't listed in Active Directory or the network, yet you want to incorporate them into OpUtils rogue detection. As you can see, we have 4 categories: discovered, trusted, rogue, guest. So discovered is a complete list of all the devices that OpUtils have discovered that are connected to your environment in its periodic scans. So let's say you do have a device list that is trusted, but is not there in your Active Directory or network. That you can, and yet you want to incorporate that when you're checking for rogue devices. In such cases, we have the option to manually import the MAC address of these trusted devices. By selecting the import MAC address details and providing the necessary information, you can download a sample file, and in that format, you can upload the CSV file, and you can click on import. Now, once these devices are added, you can inspect their attributes by clicking on the corresponding MAC addresses. By clicking on this address, you can view the device details summary, where you have the MAC address, the IP address, the SysOID, system name, DNS name, location of the system, and so on. And you also have the switches through which the device has communicated. And if this device is deemed trustworthy, you can designate it as trusted. Conversely, if you identify a malicious device attempting to breach your network, you can simply click and label it as rogue. You can mark it as rogue, mark as guest, and so on. We'll shortly talk about guest. Coming to the guest part of OpUtils rogue detection. Consider a scenario where you're hosting an enterprise workshop and permitting guest devices on your network temporarily. With OpUtils, you can label these devices as guest and assign a validity period. For example, you can click on this click on this MAC address, and you can provide an extended validity period, allowing you to trust that particular device for a certain period of time, right? And you can click on save. Let's say the conference happens on the 2nd and 3rd of next month. You can just provide those 2 dates and give them the permission or mark them as valid guests in your environment. Now, OpUtils will also show you the status. This MAC address is within the validity period that you have assigned, and it shows you till when that particular device is marked as a guest. Let's say this device is exceeding the validity period and still accessing your environment. It'll automatically show that the status has expired. In such cases, you can reevaluate the device details and mark it as trusted, or you can mark it as rogue. And over here, you have a detailed view of all the rogue devices that are in your environment that has been detected. So you can click on the MAC address details to again view a detailed summary of all the rogue devices. And let's say you want to take a list of all the rogue devices that are accessing your environment. You can download them in the format in CSV format, or you can download it in Excel format as well. We also have a detailed dashboard for rogue detection that allows you to, at a glance, identify what were the recently discovered devices, what are the devices that were marked as rogue, what are the devices that were recently marked as guest, and what are the devices that were recently marked as trusted. Going back to the presentation, let's have a quick recap of what we just covered in our demo. We spoke about automated discovery, how OpUtils discovers rogue devices, learned how you can manually import devices into the module, and we explored how to designate devices as rogue, trusted, or guest, and we understood how to view connectivity details and examined how to remotely block or unblock ports. So there is also the option where you can remotely block a rogue device that is in your environment. And I'm really sorry that I didn't cover that earlier. So let's say a particular device is detected as rogue and you want to block access to your network. All you have to do is just click on that particular device and you have the option to block or unblock the switchboard. So you can block it by providing the switch name, the interface index, and the credential details, which is, of course, the SNMP credential. And you need to have SNMP write permission to your switch. With that, you can completely block access to that particular rogue device and protect your network. We also spoke about the dashboard widgets. Moving on, let's talk a bit about network toolset. Now, OpUtils comes loaded with more than 30 networking tools, enabling network administrators to perform day-to-day network tasks within a centralized and intuitive console. The OpUtils Bandwidth Monitor tool helps you keep track of network traffic by providing graphical visualizations of bandwidth usage and critical device interface metrics. The next tool, which is Config File Manager, currently OpUtils Config File Manager supports exclusively the management of Cisco device configurations. So using this tool, you can utilize it to view, backup, and restore configuration files for various Cisco devices. We also offer a network monitor tool designed to help you monitor essential network devices. It allows you to track device availability and response times through automated periodic polling. Moving on to Wake on LAN, this feature assists in executing wake-up routines for a group of devices assigned by the IT administrators. So with this tool, you can also initiate the waking up of devices on demand, provided the device is powered. Let's quickly see where you can explore these tools in OpUtils. Within the OpUtils console, we have a dedicated tab for networking tools. You can view the network monitor tool right here, through which you can add devices for monitoring on your environment. This will display details such as the IP address, DNS name, status, the system name, the last update time, response time, monitoring status, and so on. Transitioning to the Cloud File Manager, Config File Manager tool allows you to monitor configuration files for Cisco devices. Additionally, we have the Bandwidth Monitor tool to track bandwidth utilization for your devices. The monitored parameters include device status, interface speed, volume, and last poll time. So if you click on any specific device, it provides you the historical network traffic data over a specified time frame. And lastly, we have Wake on LAN. This empowers you to initiate device wake-ups as and when needed. This action can be accomplished by selecting the power button, and furthermore, you can establish groups to simultaneously wake up multiple devices to execute scheduled tasks. So this concludes the overview of our network tools. Going back to the presentation, let's talk about the OpUtils toolset. The OpUtils networking toolset is a comprehensive and centralized collection of networking tools designed to assist IT administrators in performing a wide range of networking tasks directly from the console. Within OpUtils, there are 6 distinct groups of network tools. These groups begin with ping tools, which are employed to detect connectivity issues. Additionally, there are address monitoring tools available for resolving MAC addresses and conducting DNS lookups and monitoring DHCP scopes. OpUtils also encompasses network monitoring tools that enable network scans, facilitate the update of system details, and provide in-depth insights into the network nodes. And furthermore, the toolset offers SNMP tools, including a MIB browser for monitoring SNMP devices. It features the dedicated Cisco tools tailored for monitoring Cisco devices and a bunch of other tools. Now let's take a look at these tools in the console. Navigating to the dedicated Toolset tab allows you to view all the tools that OpUtils provided that are neatly categorized. By clicking on the ping tool, you'll be able to perform ping scan. You'll be able to do an SNMP ping, a proxy ping, or traceroute to gain insights into device mapping within the network. The address monitoring tool provides options to resolve MAC addresses, conduct DNS resolutions, and perform DHCP scope monitoring. Furthermore, the MAC IP list tool furnishes a compilation of all currently mapped IP addresses and corresponding MAC addresses within your network. So within the network monitoring toolset, you will find familiar utilities such as the network scanner and port scanner, crucial components for contemporary modern IT infrastructures or IT network monitoring. The System Explorer tool offers comprehensive information, including system snapshot, disk details, disk space analysis, active process scans on network devices, and so on. And additionally, the toolset encompasses functionalities like the TCP reset, as you can see right here. Then you can view the system details by enabling remote updates to identify what's happening with your systems. Moving on to the SNMP tools, these tools are tailored for environments that are heavily reliant on SNMP devices. So we have the SNMP Graph Viewer, the SNMP Walker, the SNMP Community Checker, and Trap Receiver to enhance management and monitoring of SNMP-enabled devices. The OpUtils arsenal also provides dedicated Cisco tools to perform Cisco device scan. As you can see, the sample data right here, it gives you all the details, the DNS name, chassis ID, ROM view, iOS details, and so on. And we also have the Device Explorer that grants visibility into Cisco devices, displaying critical information like IP addresses, system names, and descriptions. And lastly, we also have an assortment of other tools, including WMI query tool, CLI query tool, forward trap utility right here, and we have a forward syslog tool, and we have a syslog viewer. So this is just a quick overview of the free tools available within OpUtils. Once again, I would like to remind you that this is just a quick overview. If you have any doubts or questions, please feel free to post the same in the Q&A panel, and our experts will address the same for you. And if you are interested in any of these modules, you can take a detailed demo with our experts who will tailor the solution for your environment and recommend how you can get the most value out of it. Now, moving on to the next part of the training, which is schedules, reports, and alerts. And this will help you simplify network monitoring. Now, what exactly is the purpose of this scheduler? And why do you need this scheduling option? The straightforward answer is to automate network scanning and maintain real-time updates on IP addresses and MAC addresses. Employing an on-demand scanner to examine your IPs and MACs, it can be cumbersome. With the assistance of OpUtils scheduler option, you can establish custom scans at preferred intervals for specific network resources. Let's explore how this works within the OpUtils console. So within OpUtils, click on Settings, and under OpUtils, we have Scheduler. So within Scheduler, you have the capability to schedule scans for various components such as routers, Active Directory, IP address manager, switchboard mapper, and more. Now let's delve into scheduling scans for IP addresses. All you have to do is click on Add Task, and here you can assign the task name, choose the subnets, and provide the time frame if you want to do it hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly, and it will automatically update the information for you. Likewise, you can also schedule it for Switchboard Mapper, for DHCP scans, Wake on LAN devices, and much more. Going back to the presentation, let's talk about reports. Reports play a vital role in network management as they offer clear documentation of network change information. And OpUtils generates a diverse range of reports for IP address management and switchboard mapping based on the monitored resources. Additionally, OpUtils provides an audit feature to track who is making changes within the console. The scheduled reports option allows you to arrange automatic report deliveries via email or site link. And furthermore, you can generate on-demand reports anytime by selecting either the CSV or the PDF format. Now let's shift our focus to the console and explore how reports work. So we have a dedicated tab for reports. Clicking on it will show you all the reports that we have under the IPAM category, under the switchboard category, the scheduled reports, and the audit reports that we spoke about. So this gives you a detailed view of anything that has happened within the OpUtils console in your IP address space or your subnet space. So you also have detailed descriptions, what kind of action was performed, who was the user who performed the action, and where the change occurred in settings or the IP address of the device, and much more. So this encompasses, in addition to this, we also have dedicated reports for IP address manager, where you have reports for unused IP addresses, reserved static IP addresses, usage summary, and so on. We also have dedicated reports under the switchboard category, where you have switches by scheduler, vendor name, interface speed, and so on. And you can also schedule reports periodically. Going back to the presentation, now let's move into another integral part of your IP or switchboard management journey using OpUtils, which is alerts and notifications. Alerts and notifications play a vital role in network monitoring, allowing you to proactively identify and address issues before they occur. And with the help of OpUtils, you can configure alerts and stay ahead of problems such as IP conflicts and ARP spoofing. When an alert is triggered, you'll receive instant notifications via syslog, email, and within the console. Now let's dive into the product and see how alerts and notifications work. So once you are in OpUtils, all you have to do is just go to settings, and you have under IP address manager, configure alerts. OpUtils comes built in with various scenarios for which you would need alerts, like IP address conflict, DNS reverse lookup failure, and you can customize these alerts to receive it via email or to get it forwarded via syslog. All you have to do is just enable it, provide the email address, and click on save. And we also have an option where you can mark an IP address as available if it is down for 10 days. So we have various options, and likewise, the same is applicable for Switchboard Mapper as well. Clicking on Switchboard Mapper and configure alerts allows you to configure alerts for the Switchboard Mapper module, where when a port becomes used, when a port becomes available, you can choose to get alerted via email or via syslog. And again, you have similar options right here. And this does not stop with just IP address manager and Switchboard Mapper. We also have alerts for rogue detection. So whenever a new system is detected, you can get alert via email or via syslog. When guest validity expires, you can get alerts via email. And when ARP spoofing is detected, you can get alert via email and via syslog. So you can also capture the rogue detection audit, which captures the change history for the last 3 months, and you can choose the directory where you want to store it as well. Moving on to the next topic, which is user management. OpUtils role-based access control tool can help you create customized roles for various users and team members based on their domains. Predefined roles such as administrator and operator are also already available. Now, we did speak about this role when we discussed the IP address management module, where we spoke about raising IP requests. Right? So in OpUtils, we have these two predefined roles, which is administrator and operator roles, and admins have read and write access across all OpUtils modules, while operators have read-only access. Effective user scoping and role-based access control helps you specify each operator's access level to monitor resources and OpUtils capabilities. Let's quickly explore this in the product as well. Click on settings. And under basic settings, you have user management. Here, you can add users into OpUtils. You can create different roles. We already have administrator and operator role. You can click on add role, provide a name, description, and grant them access to the different modules within OpUtils. Going back to the presentation, let's move on to the next chapter. Why do you need OpUtils for your network? Well, in a market filled with various IPAM and SPM tools, OpUtils clearly stands out because it is simply powerful and yet user-friendly. You can download the product, discover your resources, and get started within minutes. And OpUtils boasts a centralized dashboard with customizable widgets to provide visibility into crucial monitoring data. It automates network scanning, eliminating the need for manual scans and ensuring real-time data updates. OpUtils offers over 30 plus network tools, eliminating the need to switch between multiple tools. In-depth utilization reports and instant alerts keep you informed about network nodes, enhancing your ability to monitor and troubleshoot. OpUtils includes an effective IP address manager, DHCP scope monitor, and switchboard mapper. And these modules are integrated to provide comprehensive visibility into your network. They enable advanced IP scanning, IP address tracking, end-to-end switchboard mapping, and simplified DHCP server scope monitoring. OpUtils helps secure your network from rogue devices through its rogue detection feature, and it safeguards network integrity by allowing you to define user management controls for team members. Additionally, OpUtils offers a mobile version enabling network management on the go. It supports integration with iOS and Android phones, allowing you to monitor your IP address space anytime, anywhere. That concludes this overview of OpUtils capabilities in general scenarios. If you'd like a personalized demo or have questions about OpUtils, please reach out to us. Our product experts will be happy to address your queries and assist you in setting up OpUtils for your enterprise network. Now let's take a quick look at the planned features that we have. We are planning enhancements to DHCP and DNS monitoring, improved alerting, network loop detection and prevention, contextual integration with other ITOM solutions within our IT operations suite of products that we provide in Manage Engine. And we also provide, we are working on third-party integrations with ServiceNow and Slack. Now let's quickly cover some of the frequently asked questions. If you have any other questions, please feel free to post it in the chat panel and our experts will immediately address it for you. The first question is, does OpUtils provide a report that has combination of both IP address manager and switchboard mappers data? Yes. OpUtils provides a report called Connected IP Details, which can be accessed under the Reports tab under Switchboard Mapper. What are the supported DHCP servers? OpUtils supports Microsoft, Palo Alto, Linux ISE, Cisco, and Fortinet Firewall DHCP servers. Next question is, where can I add my DNS server in OpUtils? In your OpUtils console, go to Settings, IP Address Manager, General, and you can specify the DNS server name. We can quickly cover this. So under Settings, you have Basic Settings. Just one second, I'm really sorry. Yeah, so Settings, under Basic Settings, you can click on, one second. So under Settings, IP Address Manager, General, you can provide the DNS server name. I'm really sorry for the hiccup there. Going back to the Q&A. How is an IP's connected MAC address retrieved? An IP's associated MAC address is obtained from the router's ARP table entries. Question number 5. Where will my config backups be stored within the server, and can I change that location? Yes. Configuration backups are stored in a file named TFTP in OpUtils home folder. What is the polling interval for network monitor that we spoke about? The polling interval can be set between 20 seconds to 60 minutes. How does OpUtils push configuration changes such as blocking ports to my switch? OpUtils uses the right commands to block ports on the switch, and this will only work if we use an SNMP credential with full read and write privileges. Can I monitor IP conflict? Of course, you can monitor IP address conflicts by enabling the alert under Settings, IP Address Manager, Configure Alerts. How is OpUtils licensed? Does it have a separate license for Bandwidth Monitor and Config File Manager? OpUtils is licensed based on the number of IPs managed under IP Address Manager and switchboards managed under Switchboard Mapper. It does not require a separate license for using Bandwidth Monitor and Config File Manager. With that, we've come to the end of our session. For more information on OpUtils, you can visit our homepage, www.oputils.com. You can also explore our blogs, tech videos, knowledge base, and pit stop for more details. You can also follow us on social media. and leave a Capterra review if you find our product valuable. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a couple of polls. You've been such a wonderful audience. Please answer our polls and stay tuned for more updates from Manage Engine OpUtils team.